Bonjour, hi, candidates. Friday, August the 7th, in the year of the plague, 2020. The United States has now lost over 160,000 people to the virus, and the economic recovery is apace, but it threatens to hit a wall today. And I will tell you about that in the couple hours. We have the Hillsdale Dialogue today. Jake Sherman is coming along. My voice a little bit patchy. I was up late last night at 10:30 in the evening. Sean Hannity and I conducted an hour-long interview about Sean's new book, Live Free or Die, for the Nixon Foundation. You can still, by the way, go to store.nixonfoundation.org and get a signed copy of Sean's book for $30. Sean Hannity's Live Free or Die. We had many hundred people watching. And Sean and I, he'd done radio and television. I had done radio and put in 5 miles and had been writing columns and stuff. But we still rallied at 10:30 last night. I cannot believe Hannity's energy. But Live Free or Die is quite the book. It is quite the book. And we had a spirited hour-long chat. Sean was ready to go, I know he's just kicking off the virtual book tour. It used to be when you did a book tour, you would hit the road and you would go from city to city and press the flesh, and we would add 800 to 1,000 people to Nixon Library. But we instead did it on Zoom. I won't do that very often. I don't like the Zoom calls with many authors, because you don't know what their energy level is going to be. Authors are authors. And it takes a lot of energy to carry a crowd through a Zoom call, but Sean just blew up the place. We had a great time, great fun. And Live Free or Die is a terrific book, debuting at #1 at Amazon this week. Look, Sean and I have been friends for 20 years, actually almost 30. I think I probably met him in 1996 when the Fox News Channel got started. And I pointed out last night, there's one person through ups and downs and ins and outs and lineup shakeups. One person has been on Fox, and it's Sean Hannity. We share in common a program director, Phil Boyce, and an attitude of happiness. And I began to think last night, getting ready for the show, who stays a long time in the business? Well, Rush is the first. In the second wave, and I don't know who went first. I was on KFI in Los Angeles, and Sean was on in Alabama. And Mike Gallagher got started about the same time in Dayton. He went down to South Carolina, and Dennis Prager was on KABC. So and Larry Elder was on KABC. All these people are marked by one thing. Mark Levin came much later. Mark is very good, and he's a friend of everyone. But he came later to the game. We're all happy. We're happy people. We generally try and treat people well. I think I can say with certainty, most, if not all of us, are people of deep religious belief. We do this for a reason. And I mean, Hannity does not have to write a book at this time in his life, right? Live Free or Die. He's done 3 New York Times bestsellers before Live Free or Die is going to be a bestseller. He doesn't have to do a thing. He could sit back and just do a TV show if he wanted, or his radio. He does it all because he just cannot not work. And we got into that last night. When you've got 4 grandparents who are Irish immigrants, and your mom was a prison guard and your dad was a probation officer, you tend to work very hard. And his sisters are all nurses, like my mom was a nurse. We're both Irish Catholics. I mean, that's what we are. And if my good friend Archbishop Chaput is listening this morning, what I regret the most about the disappearance of the Catholic school system is that incorrigible little boys, as Sean Hannity called himself last night. I'm not going to put myself in that category because I had 2 older brothers who were incorrigible little boys. I was the youngest, and so I took care of making sure everything that was broken was glued up before Mom got home. Look, Catholic schools taught obedience, attention, and care for everyone. I'm off on a tangent, but this came up last night when we were talking about Sean's upbringing and just a glancing look at mine. In a Catholic school of 40 kids in a classroom and one little nun up front, Sister Rita Burns, Sister Timothy, otherwise known for many years. How did she keep control? She would use, she'd take Eddie Urban and put him up against a wall and not hit him, but I mean would just push him against the wall. And she was probably 5'3". And there was discipline. And there were some, I'm not going to name names, some kids who were off the spectrum, on the spectrum and off the main grid. And they were respected. They were never, ever tormented, taunted in any way, taken advantage of. They were protected by that classroom. And smart kids learned at their own pace, and kids who were average learned at their own pace, and kids who were not up to speed got attention. The Catholic school system was a wonderful thing, and it operated on 1 to 40. And I must tell you that we had a lovely time last night. Live free or die. Now let me get to the bad news. Politico. COVID talks going nowhere as deadline nears. New York Times. Amid dire jobless numbers, small business relief program nears end. Washington Post. White House. Democrats fail to reach agreement on virus relief bill. Next steps are uncertain. Financial Times. Donald Trump threatens executive action to break stimulus impact. You see what's going on? Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer are demanding $3.5 trillion. The Republicans want to extend unemployment insurance, and they want to give small businesses money. It's about $1 trillion package. They're $2.5 trillion apart. Democrats are holding the unemployed hostage to the Green New Deal. It's that simple. They are holding the unemployed and small businesses hostages to broke states with massive deficits and unsustainable public employee pension program. And Mark Meadows and Steve Mnuchin don't give in. The president can use executive action, and he should. The great one, Mark Levin, tweeted out last night, and on this I believe Republicans are united. $1 trillion for relief of people who still can't find a job. The unemployment numbers are coming down. We'll get a number at 8:30 today, which I hope will continue to get us closer to 10% unemployment. And the third quarter is going to be magnificent as America reopens. But you can't be held up this way. And I cannot believe Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer are doing it, but they are doing it. And so we'll give you updates as that. And we'll talk to Jake Sherman a little bit later about that. I want to begin also by thanking, you people have really rolled in here with help. There is starvation underway in Central America. Really genuine, honest to God starvation in Venezuela and in Colombia next door. In Haiti, a country which has one of the highest rates of child malnutrition in the world, COVID has shattered the food supply. It's gone. It's made matters so much worse. Marcus Frisch is the project manager in Haiti for Food for the Poor.
We work with the poorest of the poor, and we also work with those who don't have the ability on a normal day to be able to provide adequately for their family. So when a government tells them that they must quarantine for a month, that means widespread famine. That means widespread starvation, because these people are living day to day.
Widespread famine. We have a banner at HughHewitt.com. Emergency food relief, food for the poor. Before you begin your Friday, $10, $100, $1,000. Some of you might be able to send a lot more than that. Whatever you can, because this is the year. Maybe you've held back in past year. Maybe you're one of my regular people. John Barger, my buddy, just told me he sent in. And yesterday I had, Kurt Schlachter, Colonel Kurt, Mr. Rough and Tumble, always gives the food for the poor. I know the regulars will come through. But can you please join us, because this is the breaking year. Children with distended belly. Just absolute god-awful stuff. And Angel Aloma and I have been talking. He's the executive director. He's never seen anything like this. Please be generous. Food for the Poor is a non-denominational, began as a Catholic effort in Central and South America. It's grown over the years to serve everyone without regard to background. But they're so good at what they do. Please be generous. Food for the Poor. You can always call, by the way, 855-359-4673. That's 855-359 food. 855-359-4673. But go to HughHewitt.com. While you're online as well, you might head over to flattenthefear.com. Give some money to Food for the Poor, then go to flattenthefear.com, get the statistics and the information on COVID from the Job Creators Network, and come right back here on the Hugh Hewitt Show.